Hello, Angry Joe, if you are listening, which I concede is highly unlikely. But anyway, to any of those who want to hear my monotone voice. I was watching your top 10 gaming controversies video of 2013, and I was enjoying it until you got to number 3, Anita Sarkeesian. Not that I dispute that she should be on the list, but anyway. Now, I want to begin outright stating that I agree that cyberbullying is wrong, and although being a video game reviewer and a harsh one at that, it is a little rich having a lecture from you. I'm just saying. Here's my problem. Your rant conveniently dodged the issue, the real underlying issue of the Anita Sarkeesian controversy. Again, I condone the stupidity of those who walked into Anita's trap, and yes, that is what it was. You described it as her getting too much money. No, it wasn't. It sugarcoats it, and what it was a blatant strategy she used to gain more money than she actually needed. It was deliberate. And it was a strategy she used and deployed to success. And she could have at any stage said, "This is too much money. That's enough. No more money." But no, it went on, and she got well over $100,000. Anyway, that aside, I just want to talk about the issue of fascism and cultural Marxism, and why it is that we take issue with the whole feminist frequency gate thingamajig. Not that we have a problem with criticism of media, but hear me out on this. This is the definition of fascism that I found on the internet. A system of government marked by centralization of authority under a dictator, stringent socio-economic controls, suppression of the opposition through terror and censorship, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. B. A political philosophy or movement based on advocating such a system of government. 2. Oppressive dictatorial control. Okay, first of all, feminism only has one-fifth of the population that supports it. Some studies show even less than that. So it doesn't have. So it's undemocratic in that sense. It is also extremely powerful. It has lobby groups. It has it certainly suppresses the opposition. You only have to look at Erin Piffy, who was thrown out of the UK. Well, was hounded out of the UK rather by feminists after she found that women commit just as much domestic violence, if not more, than men. So that's a form of terrorism and censorship right there. And it may not be quite nationalistic, however, it does, and it may not be particularly racist. Well, actually, that's arguable. Bell hooks might argue against that, but you could substitute racism with sexism, which feminism is. If you create a political movement which says the Jews are in control of the world, the Jews control everything, the society is built to help the Jews, etc., impress everybody else, you'd be called a racist. But instead, we just call it patriarchy. What do you know? So yeah, and it has a great deal of government control. You only have to look at Barack Obama. He had a picture of himself in a feminist T-shirt, something. I think it was in Times. I don't know. Maybe a chick magazine. I don't know. But the point is quite simple. The government the government and feminism are one of the same. The only thing that they disagree upon is abortion. And what last I checked, in the Western world, abortion is largely illegal. So just saying. So here's my rant, Angry Joe. When you criticize Monday Matt, which by the way Monday Matt apologized for, by the way, he did so because Anita Sarkeesian disabled the comments and the ratings, which is very typical of feminists. If you go on feminist channels, very often they'll disable comments and ratings because they are a bunch of cowards. They do not take criticism. They are a fascist body that has a significant amount of influence and control over the world. And no, that is not a paranoid rant. That is true. So as far as I see Monday Matt's encouraging of flagging, which I disagree with. I hate censorship. You could make an argument that it was justified in order to highlight the lack of the suppression of opposing thoughts. And by the way, TJ, the Amazing Atheist, did a rebuttal in 10 minutes. Very convincing rebuttal of Anita Sarkeesian. It wasn't very well thought out in any way. In fact, I could refute Anita Sarkeesian's video in maybe a few sentences, and that is simply sperm is cheap, eggs are expensive. That's really it. That's all it is. Women are rescued in video games because women's bodies are more valued than men's bodies, which is why men go into battlefields and they die, because men's bodies are not as valuable as women. They do not reproduce. They are not as significant in reproduction as women's bodies. That's simply a truth, and no amount of cultural change is going to change that undeniable biological fact. Yes, video games are becoming more and more purchased by women, and nobody's against that. What we are against, however, in general, is the having to surrender to feminists and the female demographics every time it gets infiltrated. A certain genre, a certain space, a male space gets slightly more popular, and I'm not the only one. You only have to look at Karen Strawn, Girl Writes What. She says the same thing. She was a video game before all the girls got into it, and she got frustrated when the women started coming and acting like geeks because it started to become popular. Also, yeah, actually, feminists have taken away our porn, at least where I come from in the UK, which, funny enough, this month alone, porn filters will become mandatory, and I'm sure this was highly related to feminist lobbying. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we do have a right to defend ourselves against feminist censorship and dictatorial tactics. I'm not justifying the tactics the likes of Monday Matt used. They were ugly and stupid, and they fell for the trap which feminists set out for people. I'm sure Big Red would have loved it if one of the MRAs had punched her in the face. It would have been great publicity, and they'll be saying, well, that's patriarchy for you. But to imply that the cyberbullying that was done to Anita Sarkeesian was anything out of the ordinary is ridiculous. This is not a gendered issue. This happens to people, and quite frankly, there have been worse campaigns than what happened to Anita Sarkeesian. So I find your summary on the controversy to be terrible. It completely missed the point of the cultural Marxism. Gamers should be afraid of feminism. They should be afraid, because feminism always gets its way. It will always look to change things. It will always look to get more power and influence into an institution or a media outlet. It will do that. That is what they do. Just look at The Hobbit Part 2. There was that female elf that was added just to appease the feminists. Your rant is just a form of white knighting, and fuck you. You saying that we don't give a shit about our daughters and that we're selling down. Oh, we're misogynist, I guess. You're just giving up to the cultural Marxist game of the feminists. You are playing by their language, and you're taking it on board. And this is ridiculous. Nobody is out to oppress women. And you saying about how some porn is good and some porn is bad. Who gets to decide that? Who gets to decide? Who's the judge for that? It's going to be the feminists, isn't it? Because they're the ones who are getting hot and bothered about it. Yes, there are going to be Michael Bays of the world, but you know what? Fuck them. It doesn't matter. Not everybody has the talent to write in-depth characters. I'm a male. I wouldn't know how to write a female character because I'm not a female. If females want to get more representation, be a fucking programmer. So, Angry Joe, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You spend like 10 minutes just ranting, and why? Just to prove that you're a mangina, to prove that you're a white knight. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what feminism does in the name of feminism. You have no idea, none at all. You're completely out of your depth. And you expect us to say, well, fuck it, no, let the feminists get away with the gaming industry. Let them probe every last fucking thing. Let them choose what games we buy. At the end of the day, it comes down to market forces. But what feminism wants to do is it wants to trump that, and it wants to say, well, this is an example of patriarchy. This is patriarchy. We need to change this. We need to change this. And I say, fuck that. No, this is the last stand. We're not going to concede anymore. That's enough. No.